I'm Lisa Bonta-Sumii, and this is the AthMindset podcast series on sports-epreneur. This podcast series is a space for conversations with athletes, coaches, practitioners, and stakeholders in sports. And it's where those individuals share their perspectives, experiences, and thoughts on mental health in sports. Eric Kazimoff of Sports-epreneur is generously hosting the AthMindset podcast series on his platform, as he deeply believes that these conversations are essential and deserve to be prioritized. This is the AthMindset podcast series on Sports-epreneur. Sports-epreneur, the content platform where sports, entrepreneurship, and mental health collide. If you are looking to start a podcast or create original content, you have to talk with the team at Sports-epreneur. I work with them and I vouch for them. It's that simple. Go to sportse.io to learn more. I'm excited to be here today on the AthMindset podcast. Today, I'm hosting a conversation with Josh Beauregard-Bell. He is currently a sports agent within the basketball division of Octagon Sports. Josh assists in the management of some of the top NBA players, as well as some guys who play professionally overseas. Josh holds a BA degree from the University of California at Santa Barbara and started the Black Business Association during his time at UCSB, in addition to being a resident assistant for 3 years and teaching different CLAS courses for undergrad students. He is originally from San Bernardino, California, loves to work out, visit with family, hang out with friends, shop, and drink a lot of coffee in his spare time. What's up, Josh? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
I appreciate it. And we've connected on LinkedIn because we're both Gaucho alum.
That's right.
Gauchos. What's up? I'm not going to tell you my year of graduation because I'm not gonna share that publicly right now, but I'm glad that we can connect that way.
100%.
Yeah. So for those people who don't know, this is going to be an awesome opportunity for them to get to know a little bit of the inside workings of what a agent does. So can you start by sharing, what is the role of an agent?
So an agent wears many hats.
Okay.
Opinion, right? I was fortunate enough to really learn the ropes from some of my senior agents that I work with, and you're like a day-to-day life manager essentially of some of these clients, right? There's so many in-betweens. A lot of people just see the contracts that are negotiated for their play on the court, right? But there's a lot of stuff that happens in between, right? Whether it's family related, off court, business ventures, summer camps that they're doing. If they want to start their own foundation, there's a bunch of stuff that you help with in between. I like to explain my agent life as being broken up within 4 or 5 parts of the year, right? Because this time it's heavy with pre-draft, right? So all of the rookie clients that we have now signed who are declared for the 22 NBA draft, I'm busy with them, right? They're going to team workouts, scheduling those. I'm getting feedback from these teams, figuring out if some will play in the NBA or go overseas. Then there's another part of the year that consists of free agency for my current NBA guys. And then around October, November, you're dealing with the start of the new season, right? And then you're starting to recruit again, high school, college athletes. December, January, February, you start to do presentations, and then it starts all over again. So it depends on the time of year, but I talk to most of my guys every day, so anything could come up. Nothing surprises me anymore, but I work with good people, so it makes my life a bit easier.
Wow, that was a very, very thorough way of explaining, like you said, you're a life manager and how it differs at different parts of the season. That is so cool. And I had no idea that you were that involved or the agents can be that involved. So this is a learning process for me too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think with different sports, and maybe you can only speak to basketball because that's what you're in, but do other sports, the agents, do they differ based on the sport because the seasons are different, or is it the same because the human is the same?
It's twofold, right? It differs because there's different rules and obligations as it relates to whatever sport that is. That's correct, right? And then also like the type of person or what's required, right? Like, the average career of like a baseball player is much longer than a 5 to 7 average NBA career of an NBA player versus even less of a 3 to 5 career of an NFL player, right? So it varies. A lot of the goal, right, mainly for you and your client is to maximize the amount of money they make in their career, short or long, or long, right? So on the court, off the court, you want to be strategizing and thinking of ideas to do that. So I say it differs by sport. I'm not too familiar with other sports, but obviously Octagon has every major sport and then some. So you start to you pick up on little things that other divisions would do.
Yeah. That's so interesting. So I know we've chatted a little bit about this, but I wanted you to share it with the audience and those who are listening. Like, what led you to this work and becoming an agent?
So I graduated from Santa Barbara in 2014. I played basketball, football, soccer my entire life. I really wanted to make an impact on the game somehow, but I didn't know what that was, right? So after I graduated from Santa Barbara, I did software sales for a little bit at Oracle in the Bay Area. My best friend is a Gaucho as well, Alan Williams, played there from 2011 through 2015. And by way of that, he reached out to me while I was working at Oracle, and he had graduated and signed a professional contract to play in China his rookie year. I didn't want to be a coach. I didn't want to be a trainer. The only way to stay close to the game, in my opinion, what I wanted to do was to be an agent. So he said, quit your job and come manage me in China. And we'll figure it out. So I tapped in with him and his agents. It comes full circle, right? As I explained this, he signed to Octagon out of college. It's for multiple reasons, right? Like agencies they're not too fond of hiring friends of players, and the same thing as an agent, they're like representing a player, right? Because you could leave and that player could go with you, or the player could leave and the agent could go with him. So it was a long haul to get in the door with Octagon. But by way of doing that, I just reached out to agencies left and right while I was in China just for an entry-level position. Another Gaucho worked in the music department at CAA, so that got me my entry-level interview to work in reception at Creative Artists Agency. So I worked in reception and in the mailroom and was what they call floater at CA, where I essentially cover multiple desks. That was my first real agency experience, working in music, working in TV, working in motion picture, sports. I got a 360 view of different agents in different spaces and what their day-to-day looks like, right? And the first real experience of there is no timeline of your hours, right? Like agents are working nonstop, especially the ones who are starting out. You want to make your mark, build your foundation, build on that. CA, I loved my experience there, but wasn't really adding to their basketball department. So I knew pretty early on, I needed to get out, right? Was still in contact with the agents at Octagon, and my boss now, Alex Saratzis, who represents Giannis Antetokounmpo, interviewed me a couple times and gave me a chance. And I moved to Chicago in 2018 and started as a client coordinator, and recently got certified as an agent in March of 2021. So it's been a journey. It's still a grind. Every day is different. When people ask me, what does your day-to-day look like? There isn't one. I can't tell you what it looks like. It changes every day, but obviously I do my best in explaining what my life sort of looks like as an agent.
Yeah, no, you do an excellent job. And what a story is that? It's super inspiring. I mean, people need to hear that. You can't just say, I want to do this and then expect it to happen right away.
Correct.
You have to kind of get your foot in the door and be humble enough to learn and to be in those spaces where you can be mentored and coached and take a job to have access to that. And then something will happen, trust and know something will happen later.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible story and really encouraging. And a story that not a lot of people tell. And so
Yeah,
I appreciate that. I really do.
of course.
Yeah. And now that you're certified, congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment. What percentage of agents, especially in your department, in your area with basketball, are Black men?
So there are 2 Black agents in my group of 8 of us. Yeah, there's 8 of us,
Okay.
and
Including you?
including me.
Okay.
And I would say, just overall, there's not a ton of Black agents. There's definitely not so much a lack of them, right? It's just if you read up on like how agencies sort of got started and like the history of them, it started with a lot of like white agents and white lawyers and white representation, and they were able to build on that, but also in light of people trying to diversify, I would say that there has been a surge in hiring more people of color, which is good. And the athletes appreciate that, like
I'm
people
sure.
that like look like them,
Yeah.
or can relate to stories about where they come from. And that's really like what I find in the commonality with me and a lot of my players is just like how, we were raised or growing up in the hood or not really coming from a lot, and being able to share those stories, and you develop this connection or this bond that those athletes appreciate. Now, I'm not saying like just because you're Black or a person of color, you should be an agent, right? Like there is a skill set, and I learned from all of my peers just about the same. So I appreciate that there is a light on that there should be more people of color in the business, but I also appreciate the people who have been in the business who are not of color, who are still willing to help teach me and grow me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you've said a lot there. I think 2 out of 8. Okay. And representing your agent, I mean, your athlete as an agent, but then also being able to relate to them as a human and their experiences is key, because that builds trust. And then you're able to have a nice working relationship and they know that you're working on their behalf.
Exactly.
I mean, that's huge. That's huge. Right.
Yeah.
And, much, dap and gratitude out to the white allies out there who do give to communities of color, Black people who want to come up, people of color want to come up. I think that's changing too. I think there's like this, way that they want to keep that a secret and like keep the skills a secret. So I'm glad that that's changing, and I'm so happy to hear it. Talk to me more about what the skill set is. Like, what do you think are like the essential sort of skills or characteristics that an agent should have or work to develop?
Yeah, you have to have some sort of humility. I struggled a lot early on because I was young and still am young, but like young when I got started. Self-awareness is key. You want to be an agent who works on behalf of your player, but isn't looking to like live the same life as them. There's a bit of separation between friends and business, and you have to understand that too. So I say humility, self-awareness, and just the willingness to almost do anything and everything. So the flexibility on the job is key, right? You're never too big for something so small for your client. There's a lot of like endless days sometimes, so the commitment to working long hours as well. And then just, I mean, honestly, like these players like people who like have their best interests at heart. Some agents may put their interests before their athletes, but I do believe that's how you could quickly fail. It's always about putting the client first. So being willing to like step back and understand that, like you have to prioritize how you handle things, because that's how you will succeed and how your players will succeed too.
Mm-hmm. No, those are all really essential just as a solid human in life, and then in the work that you do, because you're in the work of human relationships.
Correct.
Like that's what you're building, right? And helping them get success, because when they succeed, you succeed.
Correct.
So I appreciate that. Humility, self-awareness, flexibility. And it sounds like boundaries, right? Around,
and I think when you like start out a little, right, like the boundaries, or even like the work-life balance, like is the boundaries are essentially a part of that, right? But it's hard to build those boundaries if you're looking to grow quickly. I hate to say that, but like you kind of gotta like have your guard off and just be willing to go for a while, because that's how you build that trust with these players and your peers, to be able to take on higher level clients or take on more or add more to your plate and really like, succeed, like the sometimes, boundaries don't exist, but it's okay to set those, as in my opinion, as you grow higher in the business.
Yeah, you're talking about boundaries in that work-life balance situation, like boundaries about when do you clock off. And it sounds like early on when you start, there's really not much clocking off. And it's good to be, a young person without children and other like family obligations where you can do that. And kind of run free like that. So like getting it done early on to establish something for when you're older and when your family's growing, right? I'm also talking about the boundaries around, like, it sounded like saying like you work for the athlete, you're not the athlete's friend. And like the spaces and places, right, that you have to discern and realize aren't for you to occupy.
Yeah.
That kind of boundary. Cause I can imagine. Right.
Because I mean, right. Like some athletes like love to party and have fun and be out and do a lot of stuff with, very well, like the agent could participate in, right? But like you need to take a step back, because you also want to be taken, seriously for your job. It's okay to, like have a good time, but there's a time and a place, there's a when and where, and obviously like just making sure you scale it back to a professionalism standpoint versus just out there to have fun.
For sure. And I think that speaks to this other thing that I wonder about, like I wonder what the research shows, if there's any, on what percentage of agents were, competitive or high performing athletes themselves. And something occurred, whether in their control or not, to stop the rise of that career and trying to stay close to the game, like you were talking about, living vicariously through their athlete as an agent. I think that's I would imagine a challenging one, and is harder if you don't have the self-awareness that you spoke of.
That's true. Because if you, and like I said, like no one's perfect. I for sure am not. Like, we could spend another session talking about, how I've learned from mistakes, but it is important, right? And because there's only one chance really, in my opinion, to be a good or great agent, like you don't burn bridges with athletes or with peers. And you also, you make sure like you present yourself professionally. First impressions are key. You never know who's in the room. You never know who's watching. You could be in Las Vegas for summer league, which I have been at like every year for like the past 7 years. And are you in the club partying with your guys at night, or are you getting some rest and getting prepared to go watch them play the next day? So distinguishing between the two, because a lot of people outside looking in can see the agent life as being super, super fun. They see this entourage or ballers type show and they're like, oh, this is great, but it's like, you gotta get in your reality check and understand that it's a business. And if you want to do well at it, do things to where you're taken seriously.
Absolutely. And I think those mentions of how agents are portrayed in the media gives a false sort of glorified image of what agents do, and that you are actually businessmen handling your business, taking care of business, creating business, sustaining business. And that's the mindset that one should have. Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned that part of your role with your guys, who you said you speak to every day, is like discussing or helping them, support them with family. Can you say more about that? What about family and what are some of the like discussions that the guys bring up with you?
Yeah. So, sometimes, like they're whether it's their brothers, sisters, like mom, dad, like they want to make sure they're supporting their family, businesses, interests, like are involving them in some form or fashion. So of course you service your client or your athlete first, but if they bring up, stuff related to family, you try to manage that as well. There's obviously expectations that are set, and if you have that relationship with your client, you let them know you're here to serve them first, and everything else is secondary. But it can be something as big as developing a family foundation or a business, and you assisting with that. I'm fortunate enough to have a great team at Octagon who may not interface with my clients per se, but also do a lot of stuff on the back end, whether it's legal, creative, just people in our group who help assist with that kind of stuff. But that's on a larger scale. On a much lower scale, it could just be like helping them plan their family vacation, or like assisting their mother, sister, brother with a task that they may not have time for. So it just depends. I could provide tons of examples, but you just want to make sure you're there to like essentially like make sure they're happy, because their main focus is succeeding on the court, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
A lot of the stuff off the court can fall on your lap, and you want to handle that as to the best of your ability, as much as you would do for them, right? Because their family is an extension of them, and if it's important to them, it's important to you.
Of course.
Right.
And it impacts how they perform on the court and in life, right? If their family isn't good, they're not going to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, the team that I work for, we just had, it was a tough this past week. One of our guys' father passed away tragically, and it impacts him, of course, his wife, the rest of the team, the coaching staff, all of us. Yeah. And so that's a more, I think, extreme version of like how an agent could show up. But that's another place that you would show up and support within your role, right? To help manage whatever goes on there, and something like that.
100%. Yeah. You're there for the good and the bad.
Yes.
It's not going to be, and that's another like false perception of the agent life, is like it's all fun and roses and daisies and dillies, and it's like
dillies.
there's a lot in between that's a mess, and can be some sad times, some tough times, and you live with them through that too, and you're there for that as well.
Well, it's great. It's great that you do. It's great that you do. In light of our cultural shift around mental health, a lot of professional NBA players speaking out about their experience with their own mental health, or commentary on sort of where we are at as a society to talk about those types of things. How do you, well, first of all, do your guys, I know it's a tough conversation for so many reasons, as a pro athlete, talking to their agent, maybe man to man, whether there's the relationship there that they can, whether it's about themselves or their family. Have you had conversations with your guys about mental health, about what it is right now, what it's been before, and the shift?
Yeah. And, a lot of it happens, quite early in their career. There's a lot of, there can be a bunch of distractions for these guys, right? And a lot of demands from friends, from family, whatever it may be. And they just, it can take a toll on them, whatever it is, right? Girlfriend, you don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
But the conversation does come up. I'll shoot it to you straight. I am a faithful servant of God, so most of my clients, we share that relationship with the Lord. So we share prayers. We talk to each other about scriptures or sermons, and I don't force it on them though. It just happens naturally. But by way of that, I've started to connect with them a bit more, and just it keeps my mind right for the most part. It keeps them right, but I also talk to them about getting away from hoop. It's important to build in that family time into your schedule. It's important to take a vacation. If you are constantly on your phone, like, go take a class, like go hike with your significant other, whatever it may be, right? But like you got to get away from it sometimes. Talk to someone. Some have therapists, some don't. Some clients' mothers serve as their therapists. I know I talk to my mom every day, just for peace, so it's case by case, but the conversation, does come up. I'd say all of my athletes are aware and strong-minded individuals to where they would communicate that to me if they were ever struggling. But for the most part, we share a light in, whether it be religion or just taking on something that brings us peace and that helps them. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that you can share, your service to God in these relationships with your guys, and that's a place that you can connect and have those moments, and also opens up the relationship even deeper to talk about, other ways to take care of their overall health, which includes their mental health.
Yeah.
These guys, make a living with their bodies, and if their minds aren't right or in the best place that they feel it's going to impact their bodies, because it's all connected.
Yeah.
So I love that you are a grounded man in your own right, and that you can see these things and offer those perspectives. I mean, I think your guys are very fortunate to have you, as an agent, for sure.
I appreciate that. That. And I'm not perfect either. Like, I have my own mental battles, right? But
we all do, don't we?
Yeah, we all do. So it's it doesn't, just because they're going through it, like we go through it too, but sometimes you just have to be a little bit stronger for them at their time, even if you're struggling with something. And it's that can be tough sometimes too, but it's all a period of growth and development, and you learn what you can and can't deal with, and you'll get comfortable with saying no a bit more, and that's okay too,
Yep. There we go again with those boundaries, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think, we're all human. We all have mental health. We all show up in our mental health on a continuum, depending on what's going on, what stressors are happening, because stressors can be good things too. Signing a new contract can be the most amazing thing in one's life, but it can also be very stressful. And so, like, how you manage that and not be surprised that, like, well, wait, this is a great thing. How come I'm feeling like this? Well, we expect that, right? And our mental health is like the emotional, psychological, and social well-being of who we are, and our ability to like manage those stressors as they come up with skills and tools and a perspective. So it sounds like that you're a great guide for them. And again, that humility of like, you don't know everything. And we all have those days, moments, weeks, whatever it is that our mental health is challenged, but those are temporary. And I think you can see that. And it's tough when maybe you're having a tough day or time or moment or season, and so are one of your guys or more than one. And then it like kind of overlaps. Like, how am I supposed to show up to them if I'm still, I'm dealing with my stuff? But there's no arriving.
Yeah. No, there's not.
It's like we're all on this journey of life. Sounds kind of cliche-ish, but we're all riding it like together.
That's true. Yeah, it's everyone, to your point, like handles things differently, and you have to be okay with that too. Like, just because I could get over something quickly doesn't mean the next person or the athlete does, or they can also like bounce back quickly. Like it just depends, right? So there's also a bit of you can't treat every athlete the same,
Exactly.
That's another thing. Like some agents think they can be the same way with everyone, and you can't. Everyone's different in their own way. So you got to learn to adapt to and adjust for whatever the needs may be.
Exactly. And be curious about learning who they are. Because like what you were saying earlier, let's say I have like 5 guys. They're all African-American. They're all from the hood, but they all have different experiences of what that's like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities, but
Yeah.
there's also some fine-tuned differences,
Correct.
That are there, and us continue to be curious about that and learn that and let them teach us. I know that you do that.
Yeah.
But like we can't like you're saying, bring assumptions on and treat them all the same because they're not robots.
Yeah, exactly. No, you got a great point. That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate, okay, I'm gonna ask you a question right now. Like, today is, I'm gonna say to everybody listening, because people are gonna be listening to this for months and years beyond. Today's June 2nd, 2022.
Yep.
The NBA finals start tonight.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite and why?
I do. It is the Golden State Warriors.
Why? Bam! Let's go. You're talking to a Bay Area girl right here.
Yeah. It's the Warriors, and the answer is easy, right? Just we represent Stephen Curry, and we represent Damian Lee.
That's obvious. Yep. Okay. Got it.
Stephen is represented by one of my bosses, Jeff Austin, and Damian Lee's represented by Alex Saratsas. So naturally, I'm going to choose them, but I'm looking forward to a fun and competitive series because both teams are fun to watch. But I would say I'm pulling for the Warriors on this one.
Okay, got you. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's the loyalty for Octagon rep for sure.
Yeah.
But like, I think just, the coaching staff to the character of the players, they're fun to watch, but they're also like, for me, and I see it in the different light. I think the most folks is like just the character of who those men are.
Yeah.
What they stand for.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really see a lot of, like, lack of a better word, dirt on them, which everyone's already like trying to pick out and find.
Yeah. That's what we pride ourselves on as a group too, right? Like we preach about it as we present to prospective clients is we care about the character of the individual. They could be the best player in the world and be a shitty person. To be honest, like, to make our lives easier, we probably wouldn't want to work with them, but if the character of the individual is spot on, those around him or her, like, also add that value, character, and just being good people, it makes you want to go to war for them, it's you feel good doing it because they're good people,
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, what is the process of vetting an athlete to be a part of Octagon and your agency? Like, how does that work?
I mean, you obviously go after like the top players, right? There's me being in LA, there's a sense of proximity to, West Coast are a lot of the guys I tend to focus on. And you get to know these recruits or these clients throughout stages throughout the year, through the recruiting process. There's an individual I have now who's in this year's draft who, I started talking to his mom, last summer or something like that, like right when the NIL stuff started. And I built a relationship with her first, and we didn't even connect with her son until sometime during the season, so you find that connection with someone. It could be the mom, the brother, the friend, the AAU coach, the trainer, whatever it may be. Then you build a relationship with them, you get to know them, you understand if they're good people, and then obviously you have to relate to the kid or whoever it may be somewhat. You get to know them throughout the recruiting process. They haven't signed with you yet. They're vetting you too.
Yeah.
But you're also you're also vetting them. So I've been fortunate enough to really work with some good guys, and I learn from my peers every day. So it helps me learn how to vet, because my bosses will definitely let me know, just because they've been in the business for so long, if we should just shake hands and move on and not even work with that kid, because there's too much going on around them.
So it's like, I've heard this before in different settings, but like it's recruiting the family even as an agent.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's not just the guy, right? Or the gal.
Yeah. It depends, but yeah, that could be the case sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So I have one last question for you. When that day comes many, many years from now, and you look back at your career as an agent, like, what would you want maybe one of your mentors now to say about you? To say about how you handled your business and just who you were as a person and lent to the role.
Yeah. I would want, like, my mentors or peers to say that, I was never too big for anything. And I always had this sense of, self-awareness and humility. And I did whatever I could for my guys. I also take pride in how I've grown, right? So a lot of the people I work with at Octagon and some of my best friends and people around me know, what I've been through. They know my story. They know my journey. They know the ups and downs of my career. So I'd also like them to shine a light on that and learning that, like, I persisted through the crap, and some self-inflicted, some not. And it made me a better person more than anything, and a better agent too. But I care about being a better person. The other stuff will come. I'm honestly proud of how I've grown over the last few years to be a better person, because being a better person is what makes, in my opinion, life a bit easier on people, because it's already hard enough, so you want to really grow to be the best version of yourself. And I hope that's what, people say about me. Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
But like, I think that, like, it's super deep. And I think that one of my mentors told me is, like, you can't really take somewhere where you haven't gone, or like take them to a depth of their own selves unless you've gone there.
Exactly.
So I know that your story, your journey, you developing into the man that you are to become is how you treat the guys. Like, you value them as a developing young man, as a developing human. And that's, again, a very, very essential and crucial place that a lot of athletes don't have, or don't trust people to have that with. So I look forward to following your career. I look forward to cheering on our Dubs tonight and beyond. I just really, really appreciate you, and thank you for spending time with me today, and just really, really enjoyed learning about you some more and the work that you do. So thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. And it's always great to talk about things, especially with someone like-minded, like yourself. I can see it in you, and it's inspiring for me too. So thank you for having me on. And the more I'm able to, like, speak or express myself, I even, like, learn from that, and what I can, even build upon on that, and just be better the next time. So it's good. And it opens up things for me. So I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much, Josh.
One of my favorite things about our Sportsepreneur content platform is the opportunity to chat with amazing people in and around the world of sports. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you want to connect more, hit us up on Instagram at Sportsepreneur. Thank you for listening to this CASSource production, the Sportsepreneur podcast, the podcast where sports and entrepreneurship collide. Sportsepreneur is a content platform, a collaborative team, and a marketing brand that is all about showcasing leaders and difference makers in and around the world of sports. While we create our own content, we also create content with you. This includes collaborative content and exclusive content for your brand. Think podcasts, blogs, social media, and overall content strategy. Our sports content marketing team is specifically niche for those in the sports industry. That includes sports businesses, athletes, managers, coaches, trainers, entrepreneurs, and business leaders in the sports market. The bottom line is we want to help with your sports-related brand, your content marketing, and your story. Connect with us on Instagram at SportsEpreneur or find us online at sportsepreneur.com. SportsEpreneur, the content platform where sports and entrepreneurship collide.